Michael, 3 wins in 4. Saturday was your first away win since Hull, but it's really important to keep the momentum going and try and get as many of the last 15 points as possible.
Yeah, totally. We're the focus of the players has been excellent. We played very well last week. Good reaction to we're disappointed with Reading, but with a good reaction, which shows that the players care, because it's easy to let the season drift, and we're determined not to do that. We have a lot of younger players around the squad, so the opportunity's there to get game time. So it's important. Every minute's important, whether you're in a situation where you're coming out of contract and obviously that situation you're trying to play as well as you can for what lies ahead, whether it's here or elsewhere, and also for the players who are here on loan, because like anything, you only help yourself if you do well when you go on the pitch, and that's kind of the message we've hammered home to the players. And to be fair, they've been very good.
There seem to be times when you move the ball a lot faster, the team supported each other a lot better, and you played some really good football at West Brom with a very good defensive shape. You're certainly going to need that against Bristol, who, although they're 19th in the table, they beat Stoke by a single goal. I seem to remember there was a lot of injury time, and they manned the battlements really well, considering they were under pressure for those, I think it was 8 or 9 minutes. But they'll want a good end to the season too.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. When we look back at that game, we feel aggrieved that we didn't win that game, really. We had so many chances in the game. I think we hit the bar, the post. We had a clear penalty on James Chester that wasn't given, and you lose the game off a long throw, and so that was a disappointment for us. And when we want to make amends, and this gives us the chance, and I think regardless of what system we play, we have to move the ball quick. It can be difficult sometimes when teams have a lot of men behind the ball, and we found that against Reading. They had a lot of men behind the ball, and at times maybe our play was too slow, but we still created good chances in that game as well. So we just got to continue with that. We have to continue to work on the speed of our play, and obviously we have to work on the conversion of the opportunities in the final third of the pitch.
You seem to be picking up the second balls better now, and Lewis Baker maybe has helped with that. I mean, you must be delighted with what he's produced. He's got 8 goals in 16 matches. He's taken on whatever responsibility you've given him. And I'm sure he's brought a professional culture to the football club, and again, helps the younger players.
Yeah, look, I've spoken many times about Lewis since he came. He's really, grasped the opportunity, which is very pleasing to see. And he has all the habits of a player who's been at a big club for a long time. He was at Chelsea from a very, very young age through until really 2021, when he started the loan sort of process that he's been in. So yeah, look, he trains well every day. He's got very high standards. Other players in the club are similar with that, and the young players can only learn from that. And I think looking at our training today, like we have, half our squad is pretty much 22 and under, really, and so it's really good to have good players around them in that situation, so that they do obviously have good habits, and they do realize what it takes to get to this level, and hopefully get to a level beyond this level as well.
Well, you've talked about some of those young players. Will Forrester's performance was very confident and assured. You've got other young players who are probably desperate to get in. Is there a chance we'll see them before the end of the season?
Yeah, I think there will be. We just got to see, depending on the game, the opposition. I think it's important not to maybe throw too many in at once, but you look at, the young, like DiMaggio obviously has a game time since in the second half of the season. Tom Sparrow's been around it. He's only 18, Tom, but he's training every day with the first team now. He's adapting to a new position as well, and so yeah, look, hopefully there'll be opportunities to do that. But like anything, they have to earn it as well, and it's how they perform when they come up and train with the first team, and that keeps them with us. That's how DiMaggio forced his way through. It's more difficult to assess than playing under 23 football, to be honest. It's not really a good good measurement of whether they're ready to play in the first team, if I'm honest. But that's the level they play at. They go out and loan at times. But the big thing is when they come up to train, that, you know, they don't look out of place. They look ready to deal with that. And if they do that, then, you know, they stay up and then they get the opportunity to play.
We've said before that there's you're just a few tweaks away from being a very good team. So you must have been delighted with Josh Maddison's performance when he came on for the last 20 minutes. I mean, the only thing he didn't do was score.
Yeah, I thought Josh and Fletch, between the two of them, give a really good centre forward performance, and that's what we need. You know, that is a position now that, because of the demands and the running demands, it often takes two players, you know, to do that. You see that regularly, and right in the top teams, you know, particularly, you know, maybe the likes of, you know, you see Liverpool, like, you know, can be Jota and Firmino sharing those minutes, and that's what you need, particularly in a league like ours where you play so often. It would be unrealistic to expect the striker to be able to play 90 minutes week after week after week, and that's, you know, what we need. So, you know, really pleased with Josh. I thought, again, he showed really good quality on a number of occasions in the game. And the thing was, he's just not had that many chances really in the games, but overall his quality of play has been of a really high standard.
How are you injury-wise, apart from yourself and your hip, which you sound like you have a bit of a cold? I'm hoping that's going to go away before next week.
Yeah. Well, I had, yeah. So thankfully it's not COVID, so that's a good thing, because that would delay my operation. But yeah, I've had just a bit of a head cold for the last 2 or 3 days, but I'm all right. Injury-wise, Clucas and Fox are struggling with Knox muscle injuries they picked up in training. Powell's still not ready, and I think that's it really. Yeah, other than obviously Moore and Suter are away, and Thompson for the rest of the season. But
presumably Sam's over his COVID now.
Yeah, Sam's trained this week, but unfortunately I think a tight quad he's had, so we felt it better not to risk him tomorrow.
And regard your hip, I'm not going to major on it too much, but have the players already started giving you a bit of banter about the fact you'll be on sticks for a while?
Not yet, no. But I'm sure they will. They probably are actually behind my back, but I don't hear that. So yeah, look, I'm looking forward to being quite a lot of pain, so I'm looking forward to getting it sorted out, and being a bit more effective at times on the training pitch than I've been able to be this season.
With the fact that there's a couple of games in quick succession, I suppose you're delighted that players like Romain Sawyers are back available now to strengthen the claim for 2 matches in a few days.
Yeah, I think, look, we'll have to change the team between Friday and Monday. I think you have to freshen it, and if you can freshen it without weakening it, then that's a nice place to be, and I think we can do that. It's about players coming in and knowing what's expected of them. You know, as I said, like, you know, we went to see that game last night, Liverpool, Benfica, and Liverpool make 7 changes to the team, but the players that come in play in the same way that, you know, the team that played week in, week out, and that's the sign of top players. They don't always have to play; they just have to be ready to play when they have to come in and they need it. And you know, that's what we hope to build a squad here that can be, you know, have those similar attributes, albeit obviously at a lower level at this minute in time.
At this time of the year, agents and clubs start talking about players for the future. You will probably have seen the fact that there's words going around about Taylor being available permanently to move away from Man City. Would Stoke, if they had the finances, be looking to take players like that?
Yeah, but look, I think if you've looked at the period that we've been in the club and where we've spent money, it's been on players that are, you know, 21, 22, 23. So that's where we would spend money, of course. I think Taylor, financially, if it was a permanent move, would be out with where we would be able to afford, if I'm honest. And, you know, that's realistic. Unfortunately, you know, he is a very good young player. He still has a bit to go, I think, to be honest. I think he has, you know, and he knows that himself. He knows there's things in his game that he needs to get out, and that's why you come out and loan. You do that. That's why you come away from a top club like Manchester City. But I think Taylor's at an age, like, he's just turned 20 years of age. I think his primary focus is still to try and, You know, he's been at Man City since he was a really young kid. So that's his club. And I'm sure his focus is to try and break through there as opposed to anything else. And, you know, if the option's there to take him on loan again, certainly that's something that we would love to explore. But, you know, as regards high agents and stuff and papers, there's not much, we don't really pay that much attention to it because most of it's probably not true.
Well, I don't know how to take that. Now you've mentioned papers, agents,
Yeah, well,
reporters, journos.
My head of recruitment, Pete, he knows. Head of recruitment from the Sentinel is he gives me a lot of names that are just, you know, it's like Kylian Mbappe's a free this summer as well, but I'm not sure we're going to be there at the table.
No, perhaps a little bit too expensive.
Yeah.
Mistakes are inevitable in sport, and it's how you respond as a team and a manager and a coach. You give the impression, or you did, that you're well organised and you're methodical. So with that in mind, have you sorted out completely the pre-season, and more importantly, players get training programs to work on in the closed season and to get them ready for the pre-season? How difficult is it for you to have a vision for next season when you got so many players out of contract? I mean, immediately I'm thinking of 7 players that you could talk about.
Mm-hmm. It's not that difficult because you're right. Pre-season is pretty much arranged. We just have to finalize 1 or 2 things. We know exactly the dates that will be coming back. We know the players obviously that we expect to be away on international duty and their return dates. They'll obviously, their season will run longer. We know the players, for example, who have missed a lot of this season and possibly will have to start pre-season a little bit earlier. Those are all things. Like, we have a really good support team here with the sports science and the medical team, and the players always go away. And look, the players, the modern day player comes back pretty much in the same condition, if not better condition, than what he leaves in, and that's the nature of the players. Know that they know that they can't come back. Carrying weight, they can't come back with excessive, skin folds. They have to be able to train quite quickly because, training pre-season is vastly different from what it was when I played, where, the balls are out in the first week now, and sometimes you're playing a game within the first 2 weeks of pre-season, and players get, their fitness through that as much as anything else. So yeah, we're pretty good to go on that. And look, you don't, when you're building the team as we are here and you're trying to progress a team, you're constantly looking at the market and you're constantly looking at players. So that's just an ongoing process. The only difference is that the summer gives us the opportunity to sign players. And obviously, some players will leave the football club. That's inevitable. And the ones that do, we wish them well. I can't think of any of the lads. I've enjoyed working with this group immensely, particularly this season. Like all managers and coaches, you have your frustrations, but that's natural. Players will have their frustrations with the manager as well. I understand that. But the most important thing is, we know exactly the type of player that we want to bring to the club. And obviously we have to try and do that within, the financial restrictions that we're working under.
And sort of lastly, you've talked about how many young players you've got in the squad, but you've also got players out on loan. And it must have been really good for you to see that Connor Taylor's been shortlisted for the Division 2 Young Player of the Season. Things like that can only improve them, can't they?
It has. Connor's been really good. He's on a really, really good loan, played a lot of games. And some of the younger lads had mixed loans, and that can be tricky. Connor's had a good loan at Bristol Rovers under Joey Barton, which is interesting because Harry Suter was similar under Joey at Fleetwood, and both centre backs. Some of the other lads maybe got in more difficult situations because maybe a change of manager at the club. I think like the likes of Eddie Jones and Will Goodwin didn't maybe play as much as we would have liked at Hartlepool, but that's all part of the process with the loan. So it's good. Lewis McCarry's playing regularly at Dundalk in a competitive league, and Kieran Coates has been playing at Cork as well. So all those lads are, it's important that they're playing first team football, whether that's for their progression at Stoke or whether that's for whatever the next opportunity may be for them if they leave the club. But I look at like Tom Sparrow in particular. I can't remember. It may have been Nantwich he went to, but like he went on loan for a month, and he was so hungry to go out on loan, and he came back, and since he's come back, that loan alone has, I think, pushed him a little bit closer to the first team, and that's the attitude you want from any young player.
And before I let Pete tell you who you've got to buy in the next transfer window, everybody knows that you drink whiskey and Guinness, but do you prefer grapes because you're going to get loads of fruit sent to you wherever you go for your operation?
Yeah, whiskey's definitely not something that I indulge in. Guinness in Ireland sometimes, yes, but no, I'm just focused on getting well at the minute. Hopefully, I don't end up with a lot of grapes, but yeah, I'll be looking forward, as I say, to getting this procedure done and just getting back to the club as quick as possible.